It looks innocent enough, a 3-year-old girl after a shopping trip with her mother, but her mum's been shopping for heroin. The toddler clearly knows exactly what her mother wants. She passes her a light. The woman makes no attempt to hide the horrors from her daughter. Instead, she openly smokes the heroin. It's broad daylight in East London, below a known dealer's flat, an area covered by security cameras. The mother takes the lighter and tests it, happy for her child to help. When the youngster interrupts the drug taking, her mother just pushes her away. The police and Tower Hamlets Council know about the dealer and the addicts who've blighted the area, but there's been very little official action.
Given the amount of devastation that drugs causes, the numbers of lives that are blighted, the numbers of families that are kind of destroyed, the numbers of young vulnerable children that become implicated in this, that suffer as a result of it, the numbers of broken families, the social damage, the economic damage. I mean, it is really kind of immeasurable. The damage that drugs has in local communities such as this is not measurable in my view. And the cost to society, the cost to the individual, the cost to the family is just massive.
In the shadow of some of the country's greatest corporate riches was the place where we began our investigation. But this estate, so close to all the wealth, is one of the poorest communities in London. A place where one heroin dealer has brought misery to an entire community. It took me just one visit to the Robin Hood Gardens estate to identify the dealer and his flat. We set up covert cameras to watch the property, lived in by the dealer and his extended family. The dealer's a heroin addict himself. One brother is apparently brain damaged by long-term heroin abuse. In the midst of all this live at least 2 tiny children. It wasn't long before we spotted the dealer in a red jumper, returning from the stairwell where he does his deals and he and other addicts smoke heroin. These are the telltale signs. The glass flickers when addicts smoke in the stairwell. They call it chasing the dragon, but everyone's damaged playing with this kind of fire. Residents never use the stairs as the junkies take over. The council have installed blue anti-drug lights so the addicts can't see their veins to inject heroin. The lights should induce headaches, but the addicts smoke here, so they're of little use.
Well, it looks like the floors in this stairwell are sprinkled with confetti. In fact, they're cleaned every day. And what these little bits of silver paper are marks. Every single one marks the spot where someone smoked heroin.
It's almost accepted as if, so what? It happens here, it happens everywhere else. That is the mindset that I most object to. How is it that we have come to such a mindset that we now somehow think that the devastation caused by drugs is somehow normal?
It's become a way of life around the dealer's home. Despite the security cameras which watch over this mother's car, she carries on smoking heroin regardless, pausing only when her daughter, who acts as a lookout, spots another addict shouting up to the dealer's flat to get his fix. The dealer's soon off again, leaving his flat to sell more heroin in the stairwell. We told Tower Hamlets Council 2 days ago exactly which flat was being used by the heroin dealer. Since then, we've heard absolutely nothing. They already know the security doors beneath his flat have been broken down by addicts, but nothing's been done to fix them. They also have an officer who specifically deals with antisocial behaviour and could get the tenant evicted, but again, nothing's been done so far. Instead, we were simply told we couldn't film on the estate and we couldn't film this security office, which is the only protection that the tenants here are likely to get. There was one vague complaint about drugs back in November, but it seems that no one's done anything since. Tower Hamlets Council said the dealing on this estate was typical, but with tiny children involved, we certainly hope not.
Are we to think that it is okay for a 3-year-old to be introduced to heroin in this way by her mother? What kind of life is this child going to have in the future? Is it possible that she will not be affected by this in a profound way?
After secretly filming the dealer's flat, we came out in the open and found the police had been called. They were inspecting the very stairwell used by the addicts. At last we thought some action was being taken, but no, there'd been complaints about us filming.
Why are you filming this area?
Because we're trying to show the heroin problem on this estate and get you, the Metropolitan Police, some evidence on which to act to try and bust the dealers who are operating from flats just behind us.
Right.
We and the police were then confronted by this young man, claiming to be from the Tenants Association, demanding to know why we were filming. He's the dealer's brother, a respected youth worker. When threatened with arrest, he went off to confront a woman community worker who he believed quite wrongly had given us information about his brother's dealing. He has 2 tiny children of his own and shares the dealer's flat. We told the police last week about the dealing and showed them the pictures of the 3-year-old with her mother.
It's quite shocking, there's no two ways about it, to see a child of that age sitting in a car with an adult taking drugs. Very clearly it is shocking and very disturbing. We've taken what we've seen very seriously, we are actively working on it, and while I don't want to go into any more detail about what we're doing at the moment, we've picked up all the issues from that and are addressing them.
It didn't take the police long to act. In the early hours this morning, they raided the dealer's flat. They've arrested a 24-year-old man, recovered some drugs and some stolen property. No charges have yet been brought. Tower Hamlets Council, whose brand new headquarters ironically directly overlook the dealer's flat, is now helping the police to try to identify the young mother. Her daughter may well be taken into care. As a result of our investigation, they are finally using the evidence that their cameras can provide. But there's no news still on when they'll fix the stairwell doors or inform their security patrols of just where the dealers operate. We found that all the youngsters who live on the estate know exactly what's going on, so it doesn't take too much trouble. Marcus Powell, London Tonight in East London.